Okay, so got your original here. Let me make that a little smaller, say 75%. Also, just so you know, where is it? In View, you can go to Navigator here, and just like Sibelius, you can pull up your navigator that helps you sort of take a shortcut to looking around these pages, because dragging it around by the face of the page is not really convenient. So especially if you ever get to have a 3 or 4 page chart, like it gets really tedious. So you can just use this little window here to navigate around, and you can change the size of that. You can just kind of drag this up and down, and if you need some more room there. And I think you can do that for a lot of these windows. You make those bigger or smaller as needed, and they have kind of a sort of a magnetic layout. So that's shit. That's really helpful. And what else? So going by my annotated chart that I just made here, couple things. First thing that I changed was this rhythm here, which was just a sort of a nitpicking thing. The rhythm here on the original is right. You can turn on your metronome if you want to hear some metronome sounds, right? And the I just changed it to right. So there's that. That was the first thing. It was just a triplet. The way I did that was it's pretty simple to do this. It's really somewhat counterintuitive compared to like say Sibelius, but I'm going to delete a few notes here. In fact, I'm just going to delete all of these. Let's see. I just going to remember the notes: A flat, G, and F. So I'm going to delete these. So and let's just pretend that this started out as a eighth note rest, right? So for some reason, if you want to do triplets of a certain rhythmic subdivision, you have to go a subdivision larger than it. So like say here I want 16th note triplets. I have to go and choose 8th note, right? Highlight the rest that I want to turn into a 16th note triplet, and then I'm going to go Command 3, and that's going to change it to some triplets. And I don't know if you saw what just happened, but I switched from note writing mode, which is got this little trailing note thing that you can use the mouse to write in notes manually, and you can toggle that with N, the N key, the alphabetic N key. You can turn that off because it gets annoying when it's trying to write notes while you're trying to like either move the page or do some other stuff. But anyway, so you can write in those notes now. And what was that? A flat, G, F, right? So A flat, G. Oh, and here I'm just I don't 100% know how to do this yet. There's got to be some keyboard shortcut, but right now I'm just using the flat button up here in the upper right hand corner of the screen. I'm pretty sure there's got to be a way to write that in a different way. But if you have a keyboard, then you can just write it in with the keyboard, and then you don't have that problem. And then I need a what was the rhythm there? An eighth note. So here I'm just going to press the. It shows you the shortcuts, the number 4 key, and now I can write in my what note was that? It was a G. Okay. And now you already know how to tie these together, so you just press Shift and plus. That's tied together. So there's that. That's the thing that I changed. Mainly, the reason I went through all that was just to clarify how to make these. What do you call it? These triplets. So that goes for anything. I'm going to make a measure here. By the way, you can make a measure with Shift I. It'll insert a measure before any. What do you call it? Any measure that you select. So if I select this one, I can go Shift I and makes another measure, and I can do that as many times as I want. So anyways, just for example, real quick, if I want to do some quarter note triplets, here, I would have to go up to the half note and write a half note, Command 3. Whoops, that did not come out right. Do that again. And I think for some reason you have to start with a rest. So like here I'm going to write a rest, a half rest. You have to use this button if you want to write a rest, which is kind of dumb. I don't really like that. you have to actually sometimes manually drag in a rest, which I'm not 100% sure how that works yet. But anyway, so start with a half note, and then I go Command 3, and it turns it into quarter notes, just like I wanted. And same here, if I wanted the same here, I would just go, I'm already on my quarter note, or I could press 5, the shortcut is for that is 5, right? Yeah, so 5, and highlight my rest, and then press Command 3, because I want triplets. I don't know why that happened. See, that's a little weird. It's one of the things I don't completely get about this, but if I go to the half rest, see, I'm going to just do a quick experiment here. It's on half rest, so if I go Command 3, yeah, it does the my quarter note triplets. So I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. There's a MuseScore forum that you can go onto, and there's a lot of knowledge on there. If there's like a little specific quirky thing, but so far this has been what's been working for me. Just going a subdivision up and then going Command 3 if I want triplets. The next thing, let's see, was blah 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 blah. Oh, the time signature, right? So, and this is going to jack everything up, but if I want to change the time signature. This is another thing that I'm like a little bit confused about. If you press Shift and click on a measure, it'll select it, like box it up like this. But for some reason, that doesn't always work. It doesn't always do what you want it to do. Sometimes it just doesn't even do that. But right now it's working for some reason. Yes, I'm not sure why. Shift and click selects your measure. But anyways, you can Shift, click, select your measure. And then I don't know of a shortcut yet to do this, but there's probably something in here for that. I'm not sure where that is, but the quickest way that I know of right now is just to go to the time signature palette, or pull up, I don't know how to pronounce that, but that thing, time signatures, and I wanted 12.8 originally, right? So, and this jacks it all up. It moves everything out of whack. So I would have recommended to, if once you pick this up in the song, I would recommend to what do you call it? Start fresh. Like as soon as start with, if you have your empty measures here, I'm just gonna pretend that those were empty. The easiest thing to do is go to the next measure that the time signature starts on, and just change your time signature. So like for example, say these were empty, and I wanted 7/8, which I don't see on here. I think there's a way to add them, but whatever. Like, let's just say I wanted 6/8 here. I guess it's some of the more common time signatures. Okay, now it's in 6/8, and I want this bar to be a 4/4 bar, or see. So you want to try and do it before you write anything. Because if you try to change it after that, it just displaces absolutely everything. So I'm gonna Control Z everything here, including the time signature. That was just to show you, so it doesn't jack everything up. The other thing is metric modulations. I put that over here. Put that on the edited version. I put it here just to signify that the quarter note went to a dotted quarter note here. So that just means that any click, 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 click is the same over here. It's just represented visually differently here. You still got you still have click, 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 for example. I think the metronome represents that. If you play 4 lolly, 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4 lolly. So yeah. So it's not really like some crazy thing. It's just representing that it's in that 12/8 sort of triplet quarter note field. But this prevents you from having to write a bunch of triplets if you ever have to write things in, which I think you've seen on my charts in the past. So there's that, the time signature. The other thing that I tried to do on these charts is try to put the harmonically significant chords at the beginning of each system. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Most of the time it's something you can do, but just it's easier to read if you get consistent with it on all your charts. You start being able to quickly catch on if something went wrong. It just makes it a lot easier to know where you are, as opposed to if things are sort of scattered. Like here I can see where my 1 chord is, so that's definitely not a bad start at all. But right, I'm not sure if I did this, but I'm gonna go ahead, and I must have accidentally done this, but actually I have the original. Whoops, I have the original chart open. Right? Don't I? Didn't I have it? Yeah, it's right here. There it is. In most cases, you have the 1 chord starting on the right, on the very at the beginning of a system. Most of these are doing fine. Here's a good example, right here, where and it, like I said, it's not a big deal, but there's a strength to this. Oh, come on, freaking Mojave. There's a strength to this. I guess this is an F6-2 section. There's a strength to starting it here and ending it here at C9, starting at D minor 7 and ending it at C9. And beginning it back here. So this kind of already happened. And really, to be honest, like this is all nitpicking, like it's super fine details, because otherwise it's mostly totally fine. This totally works for most cases. I mean, my first charts like had probably less organization, way less organization than this one. So what else? Let's see. So starting systems with harmonically strong points. That's one of the things that I try to implement. And then I think that's getting close to about it. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. I'm trying to make this as concise as possible. This chord here, the diminished chord, there's two ways to write it. You can either do B, D, I, M, as you have over here and in your original. You also did that. B, B. Oh, this just the harmonic nitpicking. This is a B diminished chord. I don't know, you might have already known that. Might have just been a typo, but B diminished here, you can write that. Or, I don't know if this is this way in other programs, but at least here, you can just write BO, and you don't even have to capitalize anything, and just go straight to B diminished. Or, if you wanted a B diminished 7, same thing. So there's that. What else? Alternate diminished notation in MuseScore. Forgot to change the rhythm here. Yeah, I forgot to change the rhythm here. But actually, that just is a good way to kind of look at the, right, that's a little different from what I already went through writing triplets. So all in all, I think that's pretty much like all. Oh, yeah, one last thing. The last thing here with your little copyright things. If you ever decide to, put an actual copyright there, or your email address, if you want people to reach you, whoever you're writing charts for, you can go in MuseScore to format style and header and footer. And in order to get it only to show up on the first page, that was one of the things that kind of was a pet peeve of mine eventually when I first started using this, was like my little comments at the bottom were just coming out on every single page, and I didn't really want that. It was kind of redundant. Here, this little structure of this for the footer and the header is pretty much the same too. I guess you can put things in the header if you want, but the footer at least, and you see this yellow box that keeps coming up. If you keep your cursor over one of these fields, it'll show you all these special symbols in header/footer that you can enter: current date, current creation date, file name, file path, like all kinds of nerdy stuff that you can put on, and the available metadata tags and their current values. The composers, Etta James, Nicole Hits Me, it's the copyright. And platforms, stuff like that. Anything you want to put on for whatever reason, you can put on. In my case, I only want the copyright thing to show up on the first page, so that happens to be, I'm not going to be able to point at it with the cursor, but it's the money sign and capital C. So I just write that in manually every time. I'm sure there's a way to save that as a template. I haven't figured out how to do that yet. And then that corrects the issue. Every subsequent page after the first doesn't show your little copyright thing. And the very last thing, in the same format and style menu, you can put measure numbers on there, which are really great for rehearsal. And the default selection is here every system. So that's about it for this chart. If you want some other ones, what do you call it? Wow, my brain is blanking out. If you want some other charts critiqued or revised or whatever, just let me know, and I'll do them in the same format for next time. And yeah, man, good luck. Good luck with this chart writing stuff. It's really rewarding. Fuck you.